refugee camps. Where did you go after that?
After 3.5 years, it took us to get out because we did not have an address until we found my brother in Lübeck, Germany. And then we were allowed to put our name on a list. And then it takes a while of bureaucracy, you know, till we got out. So after maybe 3 years, we tried, and then it took half a year longer to get out. And we came to Lübeck, Germany, which is also on the Baltic Sea and very similar to Danzig. They're almost sister towns, so to speak, because they're Hanseatic. They're right on the water, you know. They have harbors and you know what a Hanseatic town is? There was a group of cities, towns on the Baltic Sea. The group was formed and called Hanseatic because they were dealing with freight and things. And when they get together, like now they have groups, you know, that get together so they can buy better or sell better, have a better price. So these were Hanseatic towns that worked together. They were special.
So, what year?
That was in 1948, almost the end of September, October in 1948 when we got to Lübeck. And then I got a job right away in Lübeck. And then in the spring I met my husband. Or I met a young man. I befriended. Due to family. I wasn't interested in meeting anyone because I had lots of colleagues that were nice to me and took me out and so on, but most of them were attached. So my brother said, you can't go out with people who are attached, engaged, or, you know, or have a girlfriend, because you will never meet anybody that is alone. But these boys or men were so nice to me that I didn't want to stop that. But finally, his colleague invited me to a birthday party. And he had a brother-in-law who was to become my husband.
What was his name?
His name was Lydia Ehmcke. And he was my age. He was toolmaker by trade, but couldn't find a job at that time. It was after the war, and the industry wasn't going well. So for a few years he worked at different jobs, first with his father, who had a little business. Then he worked with a streetcar. And then he heard about Canada and said he would like to go and explore it, see if we can build a better life in Canada. So we were only married for a few months when he sailed to Canada alone, and I stayed behind. I didn't like it very much, and I was very sad. But he found a job here, not as a tool and die maker, but as a domestic. Even so he was alone, he got this job as a domestic couple with a very prominent Canadian. Maybe you have heard about Mr. Cartwright, Francis Cartwright. He started the Sportsman Show in Toronto. He also wrote a book on ducks, geese, and swans of North America. There's a wildlife center in Kleinburg, which is named after him, the Cartwright Center in Kleinburg. When you drive to Toronto, you see the sign right there, Cartwright Center, Kleinburg, that way. So he was a president of a leather factory at the time, but this was his hobby, wildlife and all. So Canada honored him, or Ontario honored him for that in several places. I think there's another park named after him. I forgot now where it's located. And so my husband went to Shanty Bay, where they had their summer house, and waited for me to arrive. Mr. Cartwright paid my fare, and I flew over. So I landed here on the 6th of June in 1954 in Barrie, because Barrie is close to Shanty Bay. That's where I got to. And we worked as a couple and liked it very much, in pleasant surroundings on the Lake Simcoe. And we had a car, we had a nice apartment, we had our own bathroom, which we had to share all the time in Germany, just had a room and share with others, you know. And here we had our own, it felt like heaven. And also we had a boat we could use. And in the beginning, the people only came on weekends, so that means Thursday night, and then they left Monday morning usually. But then in the summer they stayed every day, and I had to work very hard to look after them, cook and clean. And the family also had their holidays there, so we were always full of people. And I managed very well because they liked me. And we stayed there 3 years. And then we thought we wanted to make more money and tried another job, 2 other jobs. But it didn't work out. Well, we stayed there and worked, but the first one we weren't comfortable with. And the second one, we found out I got pregnant. So after 4 years being here, we had to find a place to live because we couldn't work while I expected a baby. Oh yeah, I worked till the last months. And we already had a house bought and rented it out. Now the people had to move out and we moved in. And I had a month to prepare everything. The whole house to live in and everything for the baby. And the baby arrived on the 11th of June in '57. That was my firstborn. And then, that wasn't my private life began, so to speak, for a few months maybe. But then the people lost my people, Mr. and Mrs. Cartwright, lost their working couple. And they asked, can't you come back in the summer and look after us? So I went back 3 summers in a row with children, with 1 first and then with 2, because I had a second boy. Frankie was born in '61, and we still went back and looked after them till they sold the house and moved into a cottage on their son's property in Claremont. But then Christmas came, and they said they cannot do without me. So we went with 2 children to cook their Christmas dinner in Claremont and had a wonderful time. They just couldn't do without them, and I guess we were used to Christmas with Cartwrights that we would have felt lonely too. So we kept up a very good friendship. After that, we did not cook or work for them, but we visited them often. When my husband's parents came over to visit, we were invited for a whole day to Claremont, and they looked after us. It was wonderful. And Mr. Cartwright died in '84, I think. But he was well known and well liked and had a big article in the paper. I have it with me even, I think. And so it was sad, but also I have a good memory. He gave us a good start. And he taught us proper English. He talked slowly so we could understand everything. And his wife was very kind, you know. So I guess we had a good start in Canada, but not everybody wants to work in a household. So it's up to you, you know, if you like it or you want to do it and you want to get ahead. It was a good start for us. And then my husband worked in Barrie with the bottling company for Canada Dry. And when they closed, he got an offer in Penetang with Penetang Bottling, and we moved to Midland. And that was in 1968. Can I have a drink? My lips are dry from talking. But you're asking good questions. It really gets me going.
So you've been in Canada for a while now.
Yes.
So have you seen a lot of changes since you've been here?
Yes, in Midland there have been a lot of changes. When we moved into our house, I still live in the same house, 68, that would make 43 years. Across from us, there was only the car dealer and everything was field. You could walk through the fields and bushes, a little forest, to William Street. No houses. All the way along, no houses. The same on our side. There were cabins right beside us that were rented in the summer. Beside us where now Bowling Green is. And the big apartment building, you know, there on King Street. That's were cabins there, and they were rented every summer. And down the road, there's an empty field now. There were cabins. I would take the children and march to Little Lake, because that was just such a pleasure when we got here. We could go swimming every day and walk down there. In 10 minutes or 5 minutes, we were down there. We walked through all these little cabins, and for us that was so new. Watch the people sitting on their steps and drinking their coffee in the morning. And I mean, at that time, there were also cabins in Little Lake, lots of cabins. You must remember that, I guess. Or were they gone when you were children?
I don't.
No, you don't remember that. But they were the last ones to go. And also down where they now have bowling, lawn bowling, there were cabins there. So it was so unusual. We were really a tourist area. And that has all gone. And the area across from us, behind the car dealer, is all built up where the Catholic school is now, and all those houses, they weren't there before. Yes, lots of things have changed. Lots of industries have come and gone. You know, RCA has come and gone, Bausch and Lomb has come and gone, and there were many German bakeries in Midland at the time. I think 4. They're all gone. There's one bakery now, Georgian Bakery, and I think the owners are German, if I'm not mistaken. But there were 4, and they were so prominent and busy. It was amazing. So there are changes, yes.
So compared to Germany at the time, I think was Canada very similar?
Yes, there wasn't very much difference, but things were picking up here. Work was going steady, while in Germany it took a little longer, but then they really came up with their industry and their work, and then we were left like standing on a plateau while they just came up, up, up. But we were asked, wouldn't you like to go back? And now that everybody got new furniture, new windows, new roofs or whatever they needed, and had more money to spend, we went for holidays every 6 years or so in the beginning, but in the last few years, where we said no, we don't want to come back. And we were asked several times and said no. And now one of my sons was working for an airline, so we had the privilege of free tickets every year, and we went over every year once or twice. But we still didn't want to go there to live permanently. This was our home now. This is our home now. The children are born here, you know. I'm Canadian citizen. I have all my friends here. I love it here. And I wouldn't fit in anymore. when people come here visiting, we get lots of visitors from Germany who love it here. And we take them out on a boat, you know, on the boat ride, and show them all the Georgian Bay and the islands, and we show them around. We get to go to Big Shoot and all the facilities, and they love it here. They want to come back. Mm-hmm.